Hello there guys, I hope you're doing well. In fact, I hope you're doing better than I am, because the pesky Super Bowl has derailed my plans for this week. I searched and searched for this week's episode of 90 Day Fiancé, and then I discovered it was cancelled due to the Super Bowl. I knew there was a reason I didn't like that Super Bowl. And so what I'm going to do this week is discuss the couples I've failed to cover over the past few weeks. And today, for the very first time, I'm going to speak about Memphis and HAMZA. Now, lots of people have got lots of things to say about Memphis. And luckily for you guys, I'm one of them. And somewhere in a galaxy far, far away, Memphis is busy tap dancing on my nerves. But I realise as I get into the story, some of the reasons she's doing so are not necessarily of her making. Guys, I've got a feeling this whole video is going to be one big unpopular opinion, but here goes. And so during this video, I'm going to uncover the real truth about Memphis. I'm going to be looking at her background, social media, and obviously what we've seen so far on 90 Day Fiancé. But before I begin, I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody thus far who's subscribed to my channel. But if you've yet to do so, please don't forget to press that big red button and make Ebird a very happy Ebird. And also, if you enjoy the content, please don't forget to smash the like button. And so, without further ado, I give you Memphis and HAMZA. And so Memphis is from Michigan. She's been single for 4 years, and she says she's dated around during that time, but she hasn't had much success. She's got 2 kids and she's a single mum with a 13-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son with her ex-husband. When she and her ex-husband split up, she decided to undertake a degree, and now she's a nurse practitioner, and so she did an 8-year course and she graduated with a master's degree. And to that I say, well done Memphis. But then she gives the old well-worn line, which is a 90 Day Fiancé staple. Where would we be without this line? Online dating with Americans wasn't working out for me. It never does. And so I decided to date internationally, as you do. I gotta say, it makes total sense if you can't find somebody who gets you, who understands you, from your own country. Why not randomly throw a dart in the globe and date some unlucky sucker from wherever the dart landed? It's a fail-safe plan. It makes me laugh, guys, it makes me piss. And so she met her fiancé HAMZA online, and she's been talking to him for the last 8 months. Oh Memphis, don't you realise the road to hell is paved with good intentions? And so HAMZA is 28, he's from Tunisia. Oh, sorry, he's 26, but we'll get to that. And these two lovebirds consistently message online. He love bombs her with text messages, I love yous and good mornings. And Memphis lets us know that that's really important to her because she's never had it before. And I for one am really glad that she's focused in on the most important aspects of any relationship. The good morning text means everything. Oh Memphis, you're going to be living together very soon. You won't need a good morning text. What's wrong with you? Anyway, on with the story. HAMZA lives at home with his mum and sister, and it would seem he's extremely keen to get to the US. You don't say. And Memphis says, we're so in love, but unfortunately we have a language barrier. Quite often we don't know what each other are saying. And then she said the only word that we both know is sexy time. Memphis, that's not a word, just so you know. And so the plan that Memphis and HAMZA have cooked up, or should I say Memphis has cooked up, is that she's going to visit Tunisia for 2 weeks. And after week 1, if they get on well, they're going to get married. And she carefully explains to us it's because they don't know each other that well that she wants to wait the first week just to check it's going to be okay. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the very first clue that the dog next door has more logical reasoning than Memphis. And so before Memphis arrives in Tunisia, we see a little excerpt with her and her mum. Well, I say mum, person that gave birth to her is a more apt description. And when she went over to visit her mum, Memphis explained to production that they're in the process of mending their relationship and creating a mother-daughter bond that they've never ever had. And so Memphis then explained the back history to us. And she said at the age of 9, her mother was a crack addict. And at the same time, her dad went into prison. At the age of 10, she lost the roof over her head. And at 11, she went into foster care. And in between 11 and 19, she had 12 different foster homes. Until at the age of 19, she was kicked out of the system. And guys, I thought, wow, imagine having a crackhead for a mum and a crack dealer for a dad, and yet still managing to get to university, pass your master's degree, and create a nice home and career for yourself. I gotta say I am. I'm looking at Memphis through new eyes. People say she's odd, but I think she's beat the odds. But it would seem her mother has rather too much to say. And her mum said, what's going on with you and HAMZA? And Memphis said, well, I just can't wait to see him. And her mum said, are you paying all the lawyers' fees and are you paying for everything? I think you're paying out of pocket. And Memphis explained that HAMZA wasn't working at the moment because of COVID. It's hard to find a job in Tunisia. And her mum jumped in and said, well, that's a big red flag right there. Mother dear, you're a big red flag, a big red raggedy flag. I can't believe you're even fixing your mouth to say these words. And then Memphis let her mum know that maybe she's searching for something in a relationship that she didn't have when she was younger. She said she felt neglected and she never ever felt secure. And this to me made everything make sense that I've seen for the past 8 or 9 weeks with Memphis. She's definitely searching for something, but I don't even think she's identified what just yet. And her mum said, even in the midst of my addiction, I still made sure you had everything you needed. What? Everything she needed? You didn't make sure she had the first thing she needed. You, Mum. Number 2, she didn't have a home. Number 3, she didn't have security. Number 4, she didn't have the love of her natural family. I could go on and on and on. I bet if she had 12 different foster homes, she didn't have a stable school life. Was anybody ensuring her homework was done on time? Was anybody ensuring her library books were taken back and therefore not accruing a debt? No, they bloody weren't. At this point, just apologise, say I did wrong and I want to make it better now. Don't try and gaslight and say I gave you everything you needed. You gave her nothing. You gave her one thing and one thing only, life. After that, you peaced out. Guys, I do feel very, very sorry for Memphis, and Memphis is quite intelligent at this point because she actually says it's hard for my mum to think about these things and so she represses it all as a sort of coping mechanism. Oh right, I see, in addition to the crack as a coping mechanism. Guys, I know I should be more forgiving, but, well, I'm just not. That's all. And so I think it's fair to say Memphis's upbringing is going to colour the rest of her interesting life decisions. And so before I begin picking apart these interesting life decisions, I'd just like to take a moment to point out the successes that Memphis has had thus far. And of course the first one is that she's managed to get her nursing degree and masters. And she did this while she had 2 kids and held down a job as well. She also has what seems like a very nice home and 2 seemingly well-adjusted kids. And she was previously married to the father of her youngest child, and she attempted to create a stable home for that child. And so I think it's fair to say Memphis is trying. Very trying. But there are problems within the relationship of Memphis and HAMZA, and Memphis somehow doesn't seem to notice her part in any of these issues. And so Memphis drops her kids off with their dad, and she boards the plane to Tunisia. So let's get on to what you've all been waiting for, the problems in this relationship. And there are many. And so guys, the first problem in the relationship of Memphis and HAMZA, I'm going to say, is the whole issue of sex. And this is multifaceted. And so Memphis tells us that sex and attraction is extremely important to her and in any relationship she has. And I say this, Memphis, if it's so important, why plan to marry somebody who you've only seen via Facebook, who you've got no idea of the sexual attraction of, and you only have 1 week to work the sexual attraction out? Just 1 week to work out if it's a yay or a nay. It has to be said, it makes very little sense. And so when she landed in Tunisia, the couple were to stay at HAMZA's mum's house. And of course, being Muslim, they weren't permitted to sleep in the same room. Although HAMZA had told Memphis they were going to be allowed to sleep together, to me, she must have watched the show before. It's pretty obvious you're more than likely not going to be able to do that. And lo and behold, they weren't. But on the first night they made what I think was an unbelievable decision for HAMZA to sneak into Memphis's room. And they had sex, but then he fell asleep. And the next morning, HAMZA's mum was hovering nosily outside the door. And of course she caught HAMZA in bed with Memphis. Now Memphis's plan to get out of this predicament was a completely infeasible and laughable plan at best. She simply said to HAMZA, just lie to your mum and say nothing happened. And yet again, I blame Memphis's mama. If she'd have been around when Memphis was a kid, Memphis would have known that nobody can lie to their mum and get away with it. Even I can't do it now, and I'm in my 40s. It's not possible. Many have tried, and most have failed. So of course, HAMZA went into the kitchen and attempted to lie to his mum, and he was fidgeting and shaking his leg and his foot, and his mum was looking at him as if to say, who is it you think I am? "You're a liar, HAMZA. I'm not happy with you, and I'm not happy with Memphis." But Memphis should have known one other thing as well. His mum's never going to blame him. You're the one she's going to blame. I think you were both equally to blame. But Memphis, you gotta know that you're the one who's going to take the fall. And I don't think that Memphis understands the impact of her actions. Westerners are seen in a certain way in Tunisia anyway, and this just helps to fan the flames. And on the same subject of sexual chemistry, their first encounter had a persuasively anticlimactic quality. Apparently it lasted but 30 seconds. But the weird thing is, Memphis wanted to know why. Why was it so quick? Are you always this quick? What's the problem? What's the issue? Memphis, you've been seeing each other for the last 8 months, assuming he's been true to you and hasn't slept with anyone else. What did you expect? Seriously, what did you think was going to happen? Memphis refused to let the subject go, and she went on and on about it. And guys, the way in which she questioned him was sinister. When she was asking him, she refused to blink and refused to break eye contact. She looked directly into his soul, as if saying, "I want you to answer right now for your poor performance." Yeah, guys, I just couldn't work it out. It was just strange, real weird. Come on, Memphis, you've got billions of brain cells. Please try to use them, at least intermittently. And so the next big problem in this relationship are the cultural differences between the two. And so a major issue is divorce. HAMZA's mum's really worried because Memphis has been divorced already, and she's worried that she might divorce HAMZA. But when she asked Memphis about this, Memphis went straight onto the defensive. And his mum said, "Memphis has been divorced twice." And Memphis said, "No, there's no way that I would want to get divorced. And where has she got these 2 divorces from? I don't know who ever told her that." Memphis, because you've got 2 kids by 2 different fathers, she's imagining that you married both of them. Come on, it's not hard to work out now, is it? And in front of his mum and his sisters, Memphis said to HAMZA, "It's up to you. If you're going to come to America and be a good man, we'll be fine. I'm a good woman, so it's all on you, it's up to you." Memphis should know by now that the breakdown of any relationship is never just down to one person. Or in fact, the maintenance of any relationship is never down to just one person. So how can you say to HAMZA, who's a kid, who's never been married before, "It's all on you"? HAMZA's trying hard to play everything down. And when Memphis gutted and prepared fish for him, even though his mum and sister said, "It's not very good," HAMZA was saying, "It's lovely, well done Memphis, I really like it." And by this point you can see his family are a little bit worried about her, and they're looking for problems. Although why they're bothering to look, I'll never know. Every problem there could possibly be has already been displayed. But his mum made me laugh because she said, if she can't cook fish, then how's she going to cook couscous or pasta? Oh, HAMZA's mum, one is steamed and the other one's boiled. Neither are particularly difficult to cook. And then generally, Memphis is quite demanding. And there was one time they'd been to a hotel for the night, and all Memphis said was, "I'm really hungry, find me some food, I really want food right now." So he went out and got her a continental breakfast, and she looked at the food and said, "This is awful, this isn't what I want. I want bacon, and sausage, and French toast." Memphis, this is a Muslim country. You're not at the Michigan Waffle House now. She really is something else. And the next big issue is the issue of lies. And it's not really any lies that have been told, although there have been a few on both sides. It's Memphis's handling of these lies. She categorises these things as lies, and I would categorise them as maybe fibs or little white lies. There's certainly nothing really major. But the first time it reared its ugly head was when HAMZA said that they weren't allowed to sleep in the same room, and Memphis said, "But you said we were allowed to." And he said, "Well, I asked my mum last week and she said no, but I just didn't want to tell you, I thought you'd be upset." And she said, "But why did you lie?" He's literally just told you why he lied. I'm not saying it's acceptable, but he has actually just told you. There's not anything more to say. But the next fib was an absolute humdinger. HAMZA had told her that he was 28, when in fact he's actually only 26. There's only 2 years in it, but oh dear, she was extremely unhappy. And I get it, it's not great that you're 6 years older than him, now you're 8 years older than him. Well, he's certainly not the first, and he won't be the last person to mess around with his age by a year or two. I would understand if it were 10 or 15 years, but 2 years, it's no big deal. But Memphis said, "Now I know that you're a liar, and you've lied to me. I don't know if I want to get married anymore." Really, Memphis? You'd be doing him a favour. But then she went on this wild tangent and decided, what else are you lying about? Well, he's got no job. He's not lying about that. He can't drive. He's not lying about that either. He only lasts 30 seconds in bed. He's not lying about that either. There's not much that he's claiming to be, so there's not much for him to lie about, the truth be told. But Memphis gets it into her head that he hasn't been to college. And she said, get your sister in here now. And she demands to see his college diploma. And when she sees it, she says, oh no, it's all in Arabic. I can't understand it. Oh Lord, what can you do with this girl? But then she saw the dates and she realised that he had done this course when he said he had. But Hamza's mum and sister were looking at her sideways thinking, you're crazy. This is just over 2 years. But again, I've got a feeling that she's so untrusting because maybe she'd been lied to a lot during her childhood. I don't know, but there seems to be a next level of mistrust within this relationship with, to be fair, very, very little valid reason. And the next issue in this relationship is one of expectations. I think that Memphis has far too high expectations of HAMZA. And so 3 or 4 days into the relationship, and no, I'm not counting the previous 8 months worth of texting. Why should I? The couple was supposed to go and get their marriage licence from the embassy, and if they didn't do it soon, they wouldn't be able to get married next week. And so HAMZA explained that it's a short bus ride away. But Memphis said, there's absolutely no way I'm getting on a bus. And she said, you need to sort this out and sort it out now. Find someone to take us. So he found one of his friends, but his friend turned up without some sort of, I don't know, insurance or paperwork. And they had to wait about 10 or 15 minutes until this guy went and got the paperwork. Oh my Lord. After about 10 minutes, Memphis absolutely flipped out. And she said, you're not prepared for all of this. He was prepared. He was prepared to get on the bus. It's just you who wasn't. And then she said, we're going to be late. In fact, let me out now. I want to get out. I want to get out of the car. What's the point of getting out? Because you're just going to stand on the street and continue your arguing from a much less comfortable position. What's the point? But this said to me that she's unable to control her anger and her irritation. And she said, you're making me really upset. And guys, I honestly believe that this was the final day they could have got this piece of paperwork by the way that she was carrying on. And she was saying to HAMZA, you're not taking this seriously. I don't think you really want to get married. I don't think you really care. And she said to production, I'm like the adult and he's like the child. That's what you get when you go out with kids. Memphis, that's your own fault. But then, half an hour later, they decided it was too late to go that day and they'd missed the embassy. So they said, let's stay in a hotel tonight and let's go tomorrow. What? So you could have always gone the next day. Then what was the big deal? Memphis likes things to be done how and when she wants. And any deviation to the plan, she doesn't like at all. But I feel sorry for HAMZA in all of this because she speaks to him quite disrespectfully and also she acts as if it's the absolute end of the world, and then just a few moments later we discover, oh, actually, we can just do it tomorrow. And once again she demonstrated to HAMZA that her expectations come above all else when she said to him, if we don't get married whilst I'm on this trip, I no longer want to be with you. I will not be with you as a fiancé when I'm back in America. And so he was quite understandably distraught at this point because he was thinking, wow, so if anything goes wrong, if this doesn't happen, you're supposed to love me, but you only love me enough to get married this time round. If it doesn't work out now, it's all off. That's not love. And he's quite right, it isn't love. She has an obsession with getting married, which we'll come to in the next segment. And I think that takes precedence over any love or any feelings she may or may not have. And she did it again when she said, if you do not sign a prenuptial agreement, I will not marry you. And he had to ask what that was, and once it was explained, he said, I don't want anything from you. Now it could be said that maybe he wants a green card, who knows. But I do think it's quite bad form to bring a load of papers in a foreign language and expect somebody to sign them without speaking to a lawyer. Otherwise, the whole thing's off. If I were him at that point, I would have said, you know what, forget it. Let's not bother. But there's also an issue with her delivery. If she'd have said to him, listen, I have 2 kids, and if I die for whatever reason, or if something happens, or if we divorce, I want my property to go to my kids. He might have said, oh, I'll quite happily sign that away. There's no issue whatsoever. But just the way that she sprung it on him in this manner, just expecting him to sign, knowing he doesn't really know what he's signing away. Very, very bad form. But to Memphis, she's completely in the right, and there's no issue. And towards the end of this segment, HAMZA even said, I don't like the way she's talking to me. And I'm hoping this isn't how she's going to be if we get married. I'm starting to have second thoughts. Guys, Memphis needs to be sent on a training seminar, how to behave like a human being. A beginner's guide. It's an extremely dangerous and risky position in which to put yourself when you have 2 kids. So I guess we'll see what happens with these two. Although I don't hold out much hope for them. Do I think they'll get married? Very likely, because she's got a single-mindedness, which she's demonstrated very well in the past, and I believe that if she wants to do something, it happens. But whether it works out or not is another matter. So guys, let me know what you think of this relationship. Do you think it will go the distance, or do you think cracks are going to show within 6 months to a year of them being married? It gives me Tanya and Sinjan tease. You know they're going to get married, but something tells you all along it's the wrong bloody plan. So guys, let me know what you think in comments down below, and I'll get on with my next video. If you haven't done so yet, like and subscribe and all of that good stuff. Come on, join the Ebird flock. It's fun over here. And if you enjoy the video, please don't forget to smash the like button. Thank you so much for listening. You've been listening to Ebird Online, and I bid you good day.